Hello, this is Magdelena Messenger, and I'm coming to you from magdelenamessenger.com. I'm a psychic medium and spiritual teacher, and I've been talking to you for a couple days now about the possibility of devastation in California, the entire West Coast next year, 2026, and just kind of encouraging you to possibly follow your instincts and decide what you need to do for yourself and your family and so on. It's very hard to believe that California and the rest of the West Coast might be a lake and might sink into the ocean. And it sounds ludicrous and loony and all kinds of things. However, I'd rather say it because I truly see it than not say it and then feel like I should have. So I've said it in a couple of videos, and I'm basically saying it again now. And here's what my thought was in terms of deciding how to move forward. How do you get motivated to move? Now, I got up and moved because I experienced a trauma. So the LA wildfires in January of 2025 changed me, shook me, and so I just didn't feel comfortable in LA anymore, and I love California. I was there for almost 50 years, and I was in LA for about maybe half that time, 2/3 of that time. And the thought of leaving was just not something I had considered ever. I was going to be in California for the rest of my life. And, prior to that, I'd lived in Vancouver, Canada, loved it, and so on. So I guess I was a West Coast person as an adult. So at any rate, I realized that, yes, we have to pay attention to our intuition and learn how to use our intuition in order to guide us, learn to listen to the still small voice. In the Christian Bible, it says of the Holy Spirit. And in every religion, there's some allusion to your intuition and being connected with your higher self, with God. I call it all the invisible world. So here we are, possibly needing to make a decision. So for me, as I started to say, it was fairly straightforward. For 3 weeks, I pretty much cried nonstop, dealing with the trauma of thinking I was going to die in the next 15 minutes when I had to evacuate. That was a terrible experience for me. And yet nothing happened to me on the outside, but inside I was changed. I was different. It was frightening. And then after that, I kept seeing crumpled houses. So I drive past all these beautiful Beverly Hills homes, which I drive past every day on my way to the coffee shop. And all I could see was, I'd see the house the way it is in the physical world, and then I would see the crumpled remains after an earthquake. And that went on until I rented an apartment in Florida. I'm not saying Florida's the place to go. I'm not saying this is it, but this is where I was drawn to go. And so here I am. And so and I love it, which is hard for me to believe that I would just absolutely love a place that is in California. So I began to realize that what I had done was abrupt, and everyone who knows me calls me and says, I can't believe you did that, and how on earth did you have the courage to do that? That took so much, etc. Well, partly I was experiencing a bodily trauma, maybe not so much mentally, but I handled the mental side of it, the intellectual trauma, but my body probably still is catching up to the fear that I had that I could die if the fire reached my home before I managed to get out, because the winds were over 100, something like that. And apparently the fire was coming down the Hollywood Hill on which I lived. And it was very frightening. And I was told that, the 405 was gridlocked. That would be the freeway to my friend's house, and that Santa Monica Boulevard was gridlocked, and that would have been the way I would get to the freeway to get to my friend's house. None of that was true in the end. By the time I left, there was no traffic, thank goodness. So at any rate, I realized that I had to, as a result of the trauma, connect with my higher self, connect with my soul. I like to say there's two parts of us, the human and the being. Let's be simple, the human and the being. And I had to connect to my soul. I had to connect to who I really am. What's happening to me? This is so unusual for me. And so I simply stayed in that place, that soulful place, and realized that I would get the answers that I needed, whether they came to me intuitively or psychically, or whether people that were helping me would bring me the messages through their psychic ability or their intuition, etc. And it was a combination of both. And I would say, what motivated me? What would possibly motivate you at this point to think, okay, I have a gorgeous house. My kids go to great schools. I love my life. I go to work at this job at such and such a place. I love my whole entire life. My friends live near us. We have a second home that we go to in the summer, and so on and on and on and on. And what would possibly motivate me to make a move based on a prediction? What could possibly motivate me? And I realized it's not about motivation. It's about being connected. And the more connected that you are, or that I am, the more we will get the information that we really need, and the more we will understand our place in this possible horrific drama that may be playing out on the West Coast next year. And also, if Yellowstone blows, it won't just blow once. It will blow repeatedly. Like, all these earthquakes won't just happen one time. They will happen repeatedly. It will be unlike anything, this is the prediction, that's ever been experienced on the earth in thousands of years. So it remains to be seen, but it has been predicted for many, many years, this kind of level of disaster. And so here we are now, but we've gone for so long with nothing happening. It is very hard to believe, but for me, I literally gave away 85 or 90% of everything I own. I did not move my furniture. I love my clothes, and I still gave away about half of them. And I moved to a small apartment so that in case I changed my mind and lost my nerve to be so far away from the world that I had built for 50 years, I could break the lease on a small apartment as opposed to breaking the lease on a larger apartment. Plus, I didn't know if I'd like it here. I didn't know if I'd want to move and so on, all those things. But actually getting up and doing it was such a relief. It was unbelievable. It was such a relief to leave, very painful, to leave Los Angeles. My neighbor actually rode out of LA with me, which helped a lot. And I had friends along the way, and that's not even something I was expecting, but there it was. I had friends along the way, and I spent a wonderful week in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was blessed, I was taken care of, and that has continued. So here I am moving myself forward. I didn't know anyone here. I didn't even know if I would like it here. I'd heard all kinds of things about Florida weather and so on, but none of that bothered me, and I am starting to meet people, the nicest, most interesting people I've ever met. Like, it's kind of mind-blowing for me, actually. But I didn't have to get motivated. I just had to get connected. And I think that's one of the great secrets of life. It's not about motivation. It's about connection. And I highly, highly encourage you to get connected however you see that. By reading the Bible every day, by prayer. Meditation is a big one for so many people. Or whatever religious practices you have, that's why people do them, in my opinion, to get connected. By spending time with your kids, by going on a date with your wife, whatever it is, you're getting connected to your being and allowing your human to enjoy that process so that your human can learn from your being. I wish you every good fortune in connecting to who you really are. This is Magdelena Messenger from magdelenamessenger.com. Find me there if you would like to have a conversation or join a circle. All the very, very best.